cannabinoids. So without any further ado, Gabe, why don't you tell us exactly what a terpene is?
Grambo, you mind sliding that up a little bit?
Little slide.
So cannabis terpene is a naturally occurring aromatic compound made up of hydrogen and carbon atoms found in cannabis plants. And just so we're all clear, hydrogen and carbon atoms means it is a hydrocarbon. So I say that to people all the time. People say they don't want to smoke butane. It's a hydrocarbon. Guess what? Terpenes are hydrocarbons. Responsible for their distinctive aroma and flavors. Terpenes are found in many plants, but in cannabis, they contribute not only to the plant's scent and taste, but also its effect on the mind and body. So that's, we'll get into that entourage effect, but they actually work together with the cannabinoids. Terpenes can be organic, like the ones found in plants, or synthesized. For example, myrcene, a common terpene in cannabis, is known for its earthy, musky aroma, and it's thought to promote relaxation. Limonene, and not for nothing, myrcene is also one of those ones that is heavy duty in mango. So you get a lot of people who are like, oh, if you eat some mango, it'll help kind of push that.
Well, and I do, and I'm glad you did make the point, and I don't mean to cut you off, but they're very, very prevalent in cannabis plants, and we know it mostly with cannabis plants.
But they're in tons of other things.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are fruits, all flowers, all kinds of stuff. Limonene, another terpene, has a citrus scent that may have uplifting effects. Obviously, with a name like limonene, it's pretty
Lemon,
easy. And you see a lot of those OGs, the SFV, some of these lemony flavors, lemon.
Sure, even
lemon
garlic
kush.
cocktail, Tangy, anything like that.
They're all going to have these. Yeah. So realistically, you as a consumer can start getting in your mind, hey, this has a certain scent, will give a certain effect. Research also suggests that terpenes can interact with cannabinoids like THC and CBD, and quite frankly, a lot of the compounds that we're not studying because there's so many other cannabinoids.
Just scratching the surface.
To enhance and modify the effects of cannabis, a phenomenon called the entourage effect. This synergy might help explain why different strains of cannabis produced varying effects despite having similar THC and CBD levels. That's why, it's so frustrating for us. Not only with the sativa, sativa and indica don't describe effects. They just describe morphology, in which Jayhawk and I even get into that about how we don't really feel like it's really applicable in today's time. I feel like I feel like those are antiquated.
I think they are, and I mean, if you get
nomenclature,
if you look at Robert Cannell Clark, he obviously makes a huge bid for thin leaf versus thick leaf drug variety versus industrial hemp varieties, and really using that distinction more specifically. And to me, it's more of a region of origin is what it speaks to almost more than anything else.
And I think a big thing to take away too is, as much as we talk about terpenes and all the rest of this stuff, it is all still going to be contingent on your endocannabinoid system, which is a whole different episode.
Right. Well,
whole different episode.
We all look. You're coming at the individual ones, and really now always keep in mind entourage effect, entourage. Right. So when we talk about myrcene, or we talk about limonene, or we talk about beta carotene, nothing. I really don't believe in using any of these singularly, right? They're going to dominate, but it's going to be a ratio thing, right?
I think that's hard for people. Like, people never go into the store and ask for the terpene profile. They always ask for the They're always like, oh, I want the highest THC. And meanwhile, you should be going, I want the entire profile so I can ascertain.
Well, even, my brother came to me one time. He's like, dude, he's like, I'm looking at the testing, and he's in Missouri, and obviously, shout out to Missouri, home state, they've gone legal, and, and they do have terpene percentages on there. I said, dude, screw the THC. I said, just look at the terpene percentages. And, he's like, oh man, there was a massive difference.
Dude, a haze that's like, 17%, but high in the terps, that thing will send you to outer space.
All right, let's talk about myrcene. Let's talk about its flavor and aroma. It is, as we said, earthy, musky, a hint of clove or a hint of spice, allspice, something like that.
It's the Andrew Zimmern terp.
It's that earthy, herbal, like almost, earthy herbal. That's what I would say. It's known for its sedative properties. Myrcene can promote relaxation and help with stress relief. High myrcene levels are often associated with the more relaxing effects of cannabis. Other sources of it, which I appreciate you listening to that, mango, hops, and thyme. Hops also being part of the Cannabinaceae family. Do not forget that. So it is a very close cousin of our beloved cannabis as well. Next, limonene.
Let's talk some limonene. So, flavor and aroma, obviously citrus-like with a lemon or orange notes, zesty and uplifting. The effects, limonene is known to have some mood elevating, stress relieving effects. So it's nice for after work. It's often found in strains associated with uplifting, euphoric high. Obviously, you're going to find it in citrus fruits like lemons, limes, and oranges. That one is kind of a gimme.
That's a gimme. And I will say, though, limonene, for, the strains that do kind of pick me up a little bit. Again, I'm going to call it thin leaf drug variety as opposed to calling it a sativa, but one of those that leans a little more in that direction. Typically for me in my chemistry is going to be something that's high in limonene.
100%.
The garlic cocktail that we've had in the group.
That was in my head.
That's like one that it's like you get up, you get creative, you get rolling. It's definitely, grab the guitar, grab the Mando.
SFV is one of those for me. It's got a lot of that in there. So as far as the OGs go.
Sure. All right. Next, but not least of sort, Lina Lul. Say that 14 times. Flavor and aroma, it's floral, and it's slightly spicy, similar to lavender, which, my God, that old strain lavender.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Soma. Loved that lavender. Ooh, loved that lavender. This terpene is known for its calming, anti-anxiety, and sedative effects, which, dude, that was that strain to a T.
That's that couch. That's that couch lock.
Into the couch.
Yeah.
It's very beneficial to people if we're looking to ease stress or with sleep issues. Other sources are, surprise, actually lavender, but also mint and rosewood.
So if you're looking for the couch lock, you're going to want that linalool.
Linalool.
So next we're going to talk about pinene. Pinene is sharp and pine-like, reminiscent of fresh pine needles, known for promoting alertness. Pinene may help improve memory and counteract some of the short-term memory loss associated with THC. It also has anti-inflammatory effects. Pine trees, rosemary, and basil are those. So going back to the SFV, limonene and pinene would really be the kind of the prominent terpenes in there. And you could see how those would work together, where it has mood elevating and uplifting effects in those two terpenes. So, hey man, if you're having a bad day, go smoke some SFV.
But also, let's say that it's in a different situation where it's an extract and it's really, really high, almost artificially high in one of these. It could get a little bit weird. You know what I mean? I'm not into, me personally, and there has been a lot of people that there's enough, pure terpene extractions being done that people will go back and mad scientists putting it back in a little bit in different ratios.
I'm having thoughts right now. That I did not have writing this episode, but it's all kind of hitting me right now. I wonder, I don't see a lot of edible companies. They're all focused on the cannabinoid part. I don't see many of them focusing on the terpene part. But I might have to dig into that a little bit more, because
you're starting to see more companies that do the rosin gummies, like the alcohol extracted and the distillate extracted. They don't worry about that, but the rosins, they are reintroducing terpenes, and it actually modulates the high. It's a little bit different.
I could see that because
that's what I'm saying. And now the one place I would say, Gabe, that we might be seeing a little bit is in food. Mm-hmm. Right. And people really looking at it and looking at food pairings and some of these cannabis dinners. Other than that, I tend to agree with you.
So even thinking about it even deeper, they sell indica. They sell indica and sativa. We're going to get this straight.
Eventually.
They sell indica and sativa gummies or edibles, but that's not a thing.
No,
that's not a thing.
No,
in fact,
it's infuriating.
It's good marketing. Well, Gabe, I could have one gummy, or I could have a hybrid, a sativa, and an indica.
Now, I'll be honest with you. Now that we're discussing this on the episode, it shouldn't be indica and sativa edibles. It should be edibles with a certain amount of the terps. Because that's what's going to modulate. That's what's going to modulate.
Well, and again, about the only place I've seen that, and it's not even from a high standpoint, modulating the high standpoint. It's been more of a flavor standpoint, like I said, within some of these pairing dinners. But really, that's it. All right, let's not get stuck here. Caryophyllene.
It's easy to go down the rabbit hole.
It is. That's what we do, though. Caryophyllene. Okay, flavor and aroma: peppery, spicy, hint of cloves. It is unique among terpenes because it can also act as a cannabinoid by binding to CBD receptors. Very interesting in the body. So CBD receptors in the body can actually bind. That's wild. Known for its potential anti-inflammatory and pain relieving properties. I was familiar with that. It's often found in strains for pain management. Other sources would be black pepper, cloves, and cinnamon. And I've also known that black pepper is definitely one of those things throughout history that is, used from a medicinal standpoint.
Look, man, this stuff is on the planet for a reason,
It's here for a reason.
Let's talk humulene. So humulene is earthy, woody, with a hint of hops. Known for appetite suppressing properties, humulene may support weight loss efforts. It also has anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties. You're going to find that in hops, basil, and sage. I would actually be interested to see that combined with THCV which is also kind of an appetite suppressing cannabinoid, you could really be onto something with that.
Well, and here's what I'll also say, and I always like to make mention of this, just how little actual research we have done on any of this. So, by the way, any of you fledgling researchers out there, these are things that really, truly, hopefully in the future, we will have much more an opportunity to study.
This honestly, it was one of my biggest things when I was in corporate cannabis, when I worked in Pennsylvania, we were kind of starting to work with University or Penn State.
Sure.
And
So let's get this research out there.
Oh yeah.
Terpinolene. Terpinolene. It's a complex terpene that combines floral, citrus, and herbal notes with a slightly piney, woodsy edge. Okay. Does anybody realize there's a lot of crossover here?
There's
Is
a lot
anybody
of
noticing
crossover.
that?
Earthy. It's earthy and nutty.
And we all know it's like you smell that bag, you're like, it's earthy. That's always the go-to.
And understand
that's what Scott always says, right? Scotty.
He's on oh, dude. It's got a skin of white grapes.
hints of sandalwood.
The inside of a burnt barrel. That sounds lovely. I'll have that. So anyway, slightly piney, woodsy edge. This terpene has a mildly sedative effect and often found in strains with a balanced high promoting relaxation without causing sleepiness. Other sources would be lilacs, apples, and nutmeg. And also understand that like even cannabinoids too, by the way, not just terpenes, not just flavonoids, but cannabinoids are actually in the rest of the food world as well, which all these, maybe not all, but a lot of these plants that we're naming as well are also going to have different levels of cannabinoids.
A lot of crossover.
And keep this in mind. Chocolate actually has THC in it. So whether you've even consumed or never consumed cannabis in your entire life, you actually probably have, because I bet you've consumed chocolate. And why do you think one of those sedative and relaxing and that type of effect you get out of chocolate? In part because of THC.
Well, I mean, and look, folks, we have cannabinoid receptors in our body for a reason.
And these things don't just pop up in the last couple hundred years.
No, this is evolution.
So Osamine, go for it.
So osamine is sweet and herbaceous with a slightly citrusy and minty profile known for its uplifting effects. Osamine is often linked to creativity and socializing.
Ooh.
It also has antifungal and anti-inflammatory properties. Other sources would be mint, parsley, and orchids.
Oh, gotta love orchids. Largest plant family in the world, Orchidaceae. Anyhow, this one's fun. Eucalyptol, which I'm throwing it out there. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe eucalyptus. We'll see what happens. Minty and cooling, similar to, you guessed it, eucalyptus. It may contribute to alertness and mental clarity. Eucalyptol, that's funny. Eucalyptol also has anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving effects, common to some of these other ones. Those are usually found in cannabis only in trace amounts. So this is one that you don't see a whole lot of. Obviously, another source would be eucalyptus, rosemary. That makes a lot of sense too, and then the tea tree. So,
one thing I did.
I would suggest that the first goal of any good salesperson is to be liked. Why?
Because we like you.
Because when they like you, they trust you. If I like you, I'm more likely to buy from you. But when does the customer decide whether or not they like us? Here's a hint. It's much sooner than you think. Today on the 5-Minute Sales Training, we're going to talk about how to gain trust and build rapport faster. Well, welcome back, everyone, to another 5-Minute Sales Training, where this week we're going to talk about how to gain trust and build rapport faster. And I'm going to turn it over to Shore Consulting trainer Michelle Bendine to share with us her strategies for this incredibly important goal. Michelle?
Thanks, Jeff. A study by Princeton University found that people make judgments as to whether or not someone is trustworthy, confident, and likable within 1 second of seeing their face. And trustworthiness clocking in at an incredible 1/10 of a second. 1/10 of a second.
Wow, that was fast.
Doesn't seem fair, does it? So what happens if we don't make a good first impression? Then what? Well, according to a study by Harvard University, it can take up to 8 subsequent positive encounters to change a negative impression. What do you think? Do you think we're going to get that chance? Probably not.
Give me another chance.
So now what? Well, it means that we need to start strong in order to finish strong. We need to start preparing for our customers' next visit before they walk through our door. And at Shore Consulting, we like to talk about the critical 12 seconds, the 5 seconds before someone walks through your door and the 7 seconds after someone walks through your door. So let's start with the 5. What should we be doing? We should be on our feet and moving. Why? Because have you ever walked into a place of business to find the salesperson sitting down? What sort of impression did that leave you with? Something along the lines of, what?
Can't you see I'm busy?
Not a good first impression, is it? So we want to be on our feet and moving because movement equals energy. And when it comes to energy, there are 3 types. There's positive energy, negative, and neutral energy. Well, we all know that we're not supposed to have negative energy with a customer, but let's be honest. There are times where we get some bad news. I mean, maybe we have an appointment that cancels, or worse, a contract. Or maybe we're on the phone with an angry customer and all of a sudden a customer pulls into the parking lot. Guess what? The show must go on, and that person that's about to walk through the door deserves your very best self. So what's your mental preparation or personal mantra to allow you to start strong? Maybe it's time to sell a home, or it's showtime, or it's time to change someone's world. It's up to you. But a personal mantra can help give you good energy and enthusiasm. After all, next to negative energy, the only thing worse is meeting someone and talking to someone who has neutral energy. You know the person I'm talking about, right? You know, the person that's just kind of there. Do you remember the cartoon, Charlie Brown cartoon growing up, and the school teacher in the background talking the boring, neutral energy? Your customer needs you to have good, positive energy. And what about the 7 seconds after someone walks through your door? What's your go-to greeting? If it's, "Hi, how can I help you?" Or "What brought you out today?" Those greetings need to be retired. You can do better than that. We need to make our customers feel welcome, special. After all, they're guests to our home. Express gratitude for their visit. Introduce yourself. Ask their name and use it. And don't be afraid to engage in a little friendly conversation before you get down to business. After all, your customer may really welcome this, as this will be vastly different than the experience they've been encountering at other sales centers. And don't forget to have good facial posture and body language, and make good eye contact, also important. Your goal is to become coffee worthy. Coffee worthy is a term we like to use at Shore Consulting, and it's a goal that within a couple minutes worth of time, your customer should like you and trust you enough that they would be willing to go and have a cup of coffee with you.
You want to grab a cup of coffee?
So think about it. What are some characteristics of someone you would go have a cup of coffee with? You know, someone who's friendly, who's interested, a good listener. All characteristics of someone who's coffee worthy. Don't underestimate the importance and the power of likability and that good rapport building from the start. Likability is a key component in trustworthiness. And if I like you and I trust you, I'm more inclined to slow down and answer your questions. I'm more inclined to allow you to influence and persuade me. I'm more inclined to share my story with you. And if you know my story as a buyer, you will know me so well that I will tell you how to sell me a home. And that's the power of a strong introduction. It allows you to go out there and change someone's world.
Thanks, Michelle. It is
feel welcome to a store, it's important that you welcome them with a friendly greeting. It's up to you to create an exceptional experience for everyone you meet. Now that means greeting them with an open heart. You have to like them before they'll like you. Don't be judgmental or act distant or be unfriendly. The attitude that we have towards our customers determines how likely they are to like us. This is why you always choose to have the right attitude before you're interacting with customers. When customers like you, they're more likely to buy from you. If you decide ahead of time that you want to get to know your customer who walks into your store, it'll help make sure that a bad attitude doesn't impact your mood or your customer service. Adopt an attitude of curiosity when speaking with your customer so they feel like you're genuinely interested in them. And remember, always have a positive attitude and approach all customers with that positive attitude. When a customer enters your store and you're busy doing something else like folding, cleaning, or talking to your colleagues, stop what you're doing. Always focus on the customer to ensure they feel welcomed. You don't want to glare at them or run up to every customer who walks into the store, but let your eyes make contact in a friendly way, which is also more engaging. When you go to greet your customer, make sure you use an energetic and friendly tone. Greet your customers with words like good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to help establish rapport with them. A good morning acknowledges the presence of your customers, and it makes them feel welcomed. This also allows for more sincere conversation, and it doesn't require them to have to reply. Avoid greeting customers with generic comments like, "Can I help you find something?" or "Let me know if I can help you." These allow the customers to simply say no and move on, and this can end the exchange and your relationship, leading to a lost sale.
Many retailers I work with either feel awkward greeting a customer when they walk in their door, or they fall into a standard response because they think that's what they're supposed to do. The problem with this is that you're not setting your customer up for a great experience in your store. And I know that's what you want to do. I know you're known for your customer service. Consumer psychology tells us that a customer is more likely to buy when their dopamine is flowing. What does that mean? When they're feeling good, when they're happy, and when they're relaxed. The problem is that often when they walk into a store, they expect to be jumped on. They're programmed to expect a salesperson to walk right up into their face and try and sell them something they don't need or don't want, and that they're going to be forced to push the person away so they get all defensive, right? The truth is, people don't like salespeople because there are salespeople like that, and they give all of us good salespeople a bad name. They do walk right up into their face and like, "Hey, how are you? How can I help you today? What are you buying today? What can blah, blah, blah." That whole thing sets the customer up for a bad experience. They're already on the defensive, ready to deflect people. They're tense. They're obviously much less likely to buy. Your job is to help the customer feel instantly welcomed, to feel relaxed, and to feel comfortable. So how do you start? When a customer first walks in, no matter what you're doing, if you're behind the counter or unboxing something or talking to another customer, the first most important thing to do is to acknowledge the customer. Maintain eye contact, look at them, smile, say, "Hello, welcome, glad you're here." If you recognize them, tell them, "Good to see you again." It doesn't matter if you don't remember their name. It's so important to acknowledge their presence and to show them that you're genuinely appreciative that they took the time to come into your store today. Then give them a moment or two to get comfy in your store. You don't want to tackle them right away. You want to allow them to take it in and revel in this beautiful first impression that you've set up for them. Then what I recommend doing is going to nearby, not close by, but in the area where they are. Start straightening a display or a counter and start sizing something just to be closer to them and more in the presence of them. Now you're getting ready to first exchange words for them. And what I want you to know is that all you have to do is start a conversation. That's all it is. You don't have to worry about the sale. You're just here to build a relationship, because your true success is going to count on having relationships with customers, not just one-off transactions. So that's the reason why when you think about this from a conversation standpoint and from relationship building and not worrying about the sale, doesn't that take the pressure off? It takes the pressure off you and it takes the pressure off them. Everything comes across so much more honestly and openly and enjoyable for everybody. So start with an icebreaker of some sort. Compliment them on something they're wearing, something that's going to lead to a conversation. What always leads to a conversation? An open-ended question. That's what your goal is to get to an open-ended question of any sort. If it's on a Monday or Tuesday, "Hey, did you do anything fun over the weekend?" Or if it's a Thursday or a Friday, I used to always say, "Hey, are you doing anything fun this weekend?" It's just anything to try and get the conversation going, like I said, to try and develop a relationship. The questions you should never say, they're totally useless questions that will not create relationships and instead will stop them from forming, is saying things like, "How can I help you today?" Or saying, "Hey, if you have any questions, I'm just going to be right here." Or, I don't even like, have you been in the store before? I'm not even crazy about how's the weather. You wouldn't say that to a friend if you were really starting a conversation with them. Now, you might in some sort of context, like you might say, oh my gosh, what a beautiful day. It was just like this last Sunday when we went sailing. What did you do last Sunday? It was so beautiful, wasn't it? You see how that starts a conversation? So you can do that. But any of those other useless questions, just scream at the person, I am a salesperson, and they will go running. So that's what you want to do, is try and get into a conversation. And then you'll sense when the conversation naturally slows down. And that's when it's time for you to discover how you can best serve their needs. You don't do this by interrogation. This is the phrase that I have found that works like magic every single time. So, what brings you into the store today? This invites them to share their ideas with you, right? And shows them that you're available to show them products. It's all said in those words. What brings you into the store today? What's so funny, though, is that because we're all so programmed to have a salesperson in our face in a store, we're so programmed to not ask for help in a store. What I've discovered people so often say is they'll say things like, oh, nothing, I'm just looking for a baby gift. Bingo. I had a kid's store, so that's all I needed to know. But it's amazing how programmed we are to deflect salespeople. So you really have to work on building that relationship and just focusing on a conversation. That's what's so critical about this. And then as long as they're sharing with you, keep asking open-ended questions so that you can learn more and showing them relevant products in your store. Asking, what else do you need to know? So for example, you could say to that, how fun? So who had the baby? And just getting them to talking. Now, it for sure happens that the person might indicate that they just kind of want to walk around by themselves. Okay, no problem at all. Give them the space to do so and just stay out there and continue straightening or whatever, because the thing is the second you go behind the counter, then there becomes this wall between you and the customer. As much as possible, stay on the floor, keep resizing, keep straightening, do whatever you need to do. And then what I would often do is when they pick up something, say, hey, can I just tell you something about that item? And then sometimes they'd say, oh no, it's okay, I'm fine. Totally cool. Other times they say, oh yeah, sure. And then you can go into whatever it is you wanted to share about that particular item. The point is that if they look like they have a question about something or they're lost or looking for something, it's your job to respond accordingly. And you want to make sure that you're there for them and that they don't have to come looking for you. The other kind of customer that comes into the store is the person who's on a mission. That's the person who's just like, walks right in really, really super fast. And I would just flat out come from behind the counter and say, hey, looks like you're on a mission. How can I help you get out of here fast? And they would smile, like they welcome that. That's not something salespeople say, but it's something that you would say to a friend, right? To a person you had a relationship with. That is so powerful. Often they'll say, oh, wow, that takes them aback. Oh, yeah, I have to find a baby gift. Can you help me? I've got like 15 minutes. Yeah, sure, let's go. And then just start talking to them, asking them open questions. That's the best way of greeting a customer.
La 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 la.